Okay. Hi, I'm Robin Stein. Welcome to the National Critics' Choice Say with Hyatt. And here I have a guest who is attending here at the Asian Children's Content, and her name is Krishnaswami, who is a great book author in Southeast Asia, and she's well known in South Asia as well. And her books are known as Book Uncle and Me, which is now available all over the world, and The Grand Plan to Fix Everything, as well as Out of the Way. You can get these titles online. Ms. Uma, many of the authors around the world are just wondering what does it take to be able to cross culture with children. How did you manage to get children from all the other different cultures to understand your books?
I think what you do is you focus on the story and you work first at telling a really good story. And if there's a cultural component that is part of that story and it belongs in there, then that will travel as well as anything else. So culture lies in the details, it lies in the specific elements that you pick to incorporate into a story. You can't just throw it in for color. You can't just throw it in because you want to. It has to belong in the story. And the story has to belong in that cultural context. And if you do that, and you do it properly, kids will get it.
And how did you first begin writing books for children? What actually inspired you?
I used to write when I was a child. In fact, the first story I ever wrote was in green crayon on the wall. I don't recommend it necessarily to children as an option because grown-ups don't like it when you do that, but that's how I got my start.
And was there any mentor that actually encouraged you?
Yes, there were teachers along the way who encouraged me to write, who encouraged me to read, and so as a result, when I was an adult looking for, and I was actually home with my son, who is now 25 years old, and when he was a baby, it finally occurred to me that this is really what I should be doing.
Amazing. Now, with this book, Book Uncle and Me, the latest title, and won actually the Asian Book Award by Scholastic, how did this title came about?
This title actually came about because when I was visiting India, which I do every year, I came across this phenomenon of sidewalk, pavement lending libraries. And they seem to be started by random people in different places for different reasons. And somebody comes along and puts up a little couple of shelves or a board with some books on it, and they either sell them or sometimes people actually give books away. And it occurred to me that that could be the basis for a story. And then one day, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to write this, but one day I was driving around doing something completely different, and I saw this little kid sitting on the street, literally in the middle of a pavement where the pavement was sort of broken down a little bit. He was sitting cross-legged. He was completely immersed in a book. People were walking around him, and he was just sitting there reading. And I thought, that's a story. So that's where this came from.
And how long did it take you to write this?
A couple of years.
Amazing. Look out for Book Uncle and Me by Krishnaswami. And lastly, last but not least, what kind of life lessons could you give, at least 3 points that you impart for aspiring book writers?
Read a lot. You can't write unless you read. Write a lot. Be prepared to throw away a lot of what you write. And be prepared to revise. Because real writing takes place not in the draft, but in the revision.
Well, thank you for joining us, Ms.